What's up? Instagram. We will wait a moment for some friends to join us. Quick check-in. Here's what I am doing. I was working on the live set. I'm going to just set this down real quick. I was working on the live show a little bit for ya, for me and for you. We can take this quick moment to look at some questions. If you guys have questions as you're showing up, holler at me. Give me a go ahead and post them for me, and I'll take a look. I'll answer some things. We'll just wait a second while some friends join us here. I say friends like it's a children's show. Shit is weird, you guys. Give us Boris. I don't know who you're talking about. Who's Boris? Have you guys been enjoying the new video for Ghosts? I hope you have seen it. The funny story about why there's a difference between the Boris puppet you see, both the puppets you see in the video, and the ones that you saw in the campaign, like the puppets. I can't find Boris, you guys. I can't find the socks I drew on. Maybe I sent them to our merch company, because we are, as some of you have deftly pointed out, these are properly printed Boris puppets. Just saying. So yeah, there was a slight difference between this guy and the one in the video. However, I'm only telling you guys that. Don't share that with everybody. Keep that our little secret. I don't want to spoil the magic. But yeah, so here's that guy. Who's that? Yes. So I hope you are taking care of yourselves today as well. I am. It was a weird day today. Had a good morning, and then I caught the Anthony Bourdain news, which was a real that was rough. I did not know him. I didn't have any connection to him whatsoever. It was just a connection in my mind for obvious reasons. And I posted a few things online which I wanted to share with you now. I'm actually going to be going. There's a last minute news piece, like an interview that CBS is setting up, because they want to do a whole special about the issue. But what I will say to you about it is this, and I'm going to, for those of you just being aware that there are those of you guys who are sensitive to subjects and descriptions and stuff, I'm going to let you know right up front that I'm going to do my best to watch my language and the way I talk about it. I want to talk about it. I do want to talk about it a little bit, though. And I'll try to do so in a sensitive way, because the thing that has been kind of swirling around in my mind since the Kate Spade news broke. It was that happened, and it was kind of going around in here, and then this Anthony Bourdain news broke, and it kind of solidified. And it is this. It's that, yes, I realize there are things that news publications and journalists need to do to report more responsibly and be more responsible in the words that they choose and the ways that they choose to report on things. They need to be sensitive to the fact that some people who read that stuff, or some people who aren't even looking to see some of that information, when they see it, readers get triggered. And there are those of us who have triggers like what I'm experiencing, which is like having lost a friend. And there are other people who are on the other end of that equation who have ideations and things like that, like visuals and things that they've thought of before, that when they see this news, it really does not do good things to their brain. So let's put let's put aside the fact that we want the press and people who write things on the internet and things like that, newspapers, TV, whatever, radio. Let's put them aside for a second. Let's put aside the fact that we want them to be more responsible, because we do want them to be more responsible, and there's nothing wrong with telling them, hey, change your wording, watch out how you're talking about this, please take this thing down, or so on. Like, you guys are absolutely right that you can do those things. When you do those things, you're doing them for good reason. You're not crazy. Those are things that people, if they're simply not aware that is effectively harmful to people, then there's only one way to make them aware, is point it out, right? It's not really like, there are certain parts of it that might be debatable. The idea that you're putting these ideas in somebody's head, that part is not debatable. If you write it in a piece, if you make it the headline of your piece, that shows up in people's Twitter feeds whether they like it or not. That is definitely one thing that I will be focusing on as I'm doing interviews in the future. To kind of, I don't know, hopefully I can, maybe it's an education thing with the journalists, maybe it's just saying no sometimes to certain things. But let me talk about you, because that's more important. Because for as much as we can admire certain people, admire singers or actors or celebrities or performers or somebody for some reason, whatever that thing is that you admire somebody, and then something happens, the thing that I realized this week, or mainly today, was that it's incumbent upon, it's important for you guys, it's important to me that you are aware of what you're looking at, aware of what you're seeing in your social media feed, aware of what you're clicking on more than anything. So I've said for many years, like, your attention is your currency. When you click on something, when you watch something, you are effectively paying the commodity of your attention. You're giving it to whatever you've clicked on. Don't ever do that when it's something you hate. Don't ever do it when it's something you disagree with. Don't engage in it. Don't argue with it. Don't click through and share it and go, don't share it to somebody and say, hey, how horrible is this? Because you're giving them traffic. The traffic you give them makes them say, number one, this was a successful piece and I need to write more things like it. And number two, it gives them money. It gives them advertising dollars. So just don't do it. Avoid that stuff, because when you click on something or read something or whatever, if you have a choice, which I realize sometimes you don't have a choice, it just shows up in your social media feed. But when you do click retweet, favorite, or click through to an article, if you have a sense before you click, if you have a sense that it's going to be something that you don't like, or going to, that it's, we say, salacious, if it's exaggerated or over dramatic or whatever, if that's the kind of thing it is, I think don't click. And in fact, if you find that you have friends in your social media feed who are usually the ones retweeting stuff that makes you frustrated, whether that's news, political stuff, whatever. If you know somebody who does that and you're aware that they keep doing it and it makes you, like, doesn't bring you joy, like it makes you upset, Mute them, unfollow them. That's you. That's not. There's nothing wrong with that. You have to do it to take care of yourself. You have to. Some people might say, oh, when somebody passes away, if I don't say something or I don't read the stuff or share something, share something somebody else wrote or whatever, if I don't do that, then I feel like I'm disrespecting that person who passed away. I would say my message to you, as I said it on Twitter today, my message to you is it is the opposite. If you avoid that stuff, then what you're actually doing is acknowledging that their pain was real. You're saying that thing that they were feeling is a true thing. It's not only true for them, it's true for me. And out of respect for them and respect for for the reality of that, I'm going to avoid this news. I may be avoiding people who are posting things and friends and texts. I may actually just be avoiding social media altogether. That is an awesome way to take care of yourself. Because there's no reason to, just because you're curious, is that a good reason? When they talk about like addiction, it's often been described as having like a demon on your shoulder or a monkey on your back. And the reason that it's talked about that way is because it's oftentimes, it feels like a voice that's telling you to do something. And sometimes that voice is convincing. They say, that little voice says, doesn't say, hey, go, buy a bunch of meth. It says, man, you haven't talked to Johnny in a while. You should call Johnny. I wonder how he's doing. Like, he was doing pretty bad last time you talked to him. You should really call him. And that voice is actually being sneaky and telling you, you need to get in touch with Johnny because Johnny has the meth. But that's actually that's the same thing that's going on for a lot of us. Like that, when you think of that, like for me, I've never been a drug addict, so that doesn't happen to me. But what does happen to me and happens to most of us is a very simple and subtle sneaky version of it, which is you read something and you go, oh, I'm so curious about that. Let me click on it. And you click on it just so you can get revved up about the information in there. That information in there is telling you, oh, the story about Anthony Bourdain. That's telling you, oh, Kate Spade. Told you Chester. It told you Chris Cornell. It told you Kurt Cobain. It told you Lil Peep. It told you all these people. Over and over we go through this. So don't go for that, man. Don't go for that. Your attention is a commodity. It's like money. And you got to be just aware. I want you to be aware of where you spend it. So anyway, that's what I had to say. That's something that is important to me today and might continue to be important. I want you guys to take care of yourselves. And I hope you are enjoying the new music, all that stuff. Like, that's great. And I am, very excited about the album coming out next week. But putting that aside, I wanted to get on Instagram Live and talk to you guys about this other thing, because today especially, in general, it's more important. So thank you guys. And thank you, by the way, for all the support that you've given me as I've been, dealing with a lot of these subjects that I was talking about and stuff. A lot of funny comments. I appreciate you guys. Okay, I gotta run. Thanks for hanging, and a lot going on this next week. So keep it locked on my my Instagram and Twitter. I will do my best to be responsible about the things that I am posting. If I was to predict, I'm going to bet you that it's mostly about show announcements and album release and stuff like that. So hope that doesn't make you feel bad. Certainly doesn't make me feel bad. I'll see you guys. Thanks.